Hi, hi, it's Peter Gregg, Miami, Florida. Welcome to the Christmas Room.
Sit back, relax. You are about to watch a Peter Gregg video. Something warm, human, and wonderful happens when you watch Peter Gregg.
I'm still here. I had to run out and get my notes. So I've been trying to get this video done for such a long time, and something comes up every time, and I'm doing it now, regardless. It's nighttime, okay? So I almost forgot to bring the notes. Let's see what else can go wrong. So this whole thing is around me trying to find the camera settings that's going to make this look or act as close to the Canon dual pixel focus as possible. Here's a Canon 80D. It's my nephew's Canon 80D. It's my Sigma 1.4 art lens, and it's got dual pixel focus, but it doesn't have 4K. But this A7R III gives me delicious 4K, and just look at the background. The background is absolutely gorgeous if you're the type that likes blown out backgrounds. If you don't, well, this is what I got here. But the interesting thing about this is I wanted the freedom to move away from the desk, which the Canon with the dual pixel focus allows me to do. The GH5 allows me to walk around this area, but that's about it. Maybe a little bit farther, but it's got like a nice window for autofocus face detection. I would say about 10 to 12 feet out. After that, it gets iffy depending on your lighting situation, depending on a few other things that's going on. But this one, look, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say hi to Jingles, who's not even here. Jingles, where are you, baby? Aren't you going to come? You're not going to come over here and sit with Peter? Come on. Come sit with Peter. Where are you? There you are. There you are. Come on. You don't want to sit up here? There. All right, see how nicely this tracks me, and it's looking for a face? I'll tell you what, I want to show it to you. I figured out how to do it, and the way to do it is I'm going to have to switch to 1080 because in 4K, if you do anything like using Wi-Fi to start and stop the camera, which I'm not able to do, and of course, there's no articulating screen, so I do know where I'm supposed to stand, though. I mean, that's a given. And not everybody's a one-man band either. So I don't have somebody standing behind the camera to make sure everything is fine. So many times I'll do a test ahead of time to make sure everything is A-OK. But let's switch over to 1080. We're going to stay on the 4K timeline because you can't make a 4K timeline do 1080. It's going to have to res it up so it all comes out as a 1080. So I'm going to do the, where I'm recording what the LCD is watching. So you'll be able to see the square around my face. You'll be able to see me walk around the room. So let me go turn that on and we'll do that and then I'll come right back. As I said, this part's got to be recorded in 1080p because I've got no way to show you the box around my face. So we've switched over, but it's still on the 4K timeline. And it's going to get up-res. But now you can see how the camera follows. So it basically does a face follow. You see how the white box follows me as I'm moving around the room. Even if I turn to the side, it kind of recognizes a box until it eventually loses the box. Now I'll come down here and I'll say hi to Jingles, but you notice how it's still going to follow a large moving object. I'm going to sit down here. There you are, the camera's in the dark. And we're going to bring Jingles up here. Now there's a Santa behind me that's got a full face. And I'm kind of hiding it a little bit because the dual pixel focus does like to attract itself to that face. What, you're that interested? Okay, let me get up. So as I walk back and forth, whether I walk forward quickly or slowly, it doesn't matter. It keeps track of my face. Even if I turn to the side and I talk to you, even though I know you're there, I'm talking over here, and then if I turn this way, it still follows the face. So you get the point. I can actually come over here and I could tell you, I could sit down and I could tell you a story right from my little chair over here. Once upon a time there was, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, so this is how you see the white box when you're in 4K mode on the screen. However, if you turn on the phone, where is my phone? See, I don't even turn it on anymore. If you connect with the Wi-Fi, or if you use HDMI output, which is what I'm using right now, I'm recording it to an Atomos recorder, but in 1080, not in 4K. It won't allow the face, the face detection in 4K to continue. It drops out, and I've showed you that in other videos. So no HDMI, no Wi-Fi, and you do get 4K and face detection on the Sony. Okay, why don't we have a little bit of fun, all right, and do the same thing with the Canon 80D. Wouldn't that be cool? Because it's going to shoot in 1080, so while we're in 1080 mode here, all right, so let me switch it over to the Canon 1080, and I'll do the same walk. I'll go down and say hi to Jingles, who's waiting, and then I'll go over to the chair, and you can watch. I'll record the screen and the video. It'll be pretty cool, all right? I'll be right back. All right, through the magic of editing, we are now on the Canon 80D. It's a little bit of a wider lens on here, but I'll crop it so that they look pretty much the same. So you can see the white box on me now. This is dual pixel focus compared to the Sony, and we'll just do our little walk. Actually, I'll turn this way for a second, and I'll talk to this wall on this side, and then I'll bring my head back around, and then I'll turn the big head this way. And now let's go take a look and walk and say hi to Jingles, who's been sitting here patiently waiting. And let's see what it does. All right, so we're saying hi to Jingles. I have my head straight on. Now my head is sideways. Let's see what the camera decides to lock on. Does it decide to stay with me? Or does it decide to go for the tree? Remember, the tree is like eye candy for focus systems. It's got nice specular little lights that are going on and off. Now I'm turning back my back towards the camera. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it on purpose. And I'm going to say hi to Jingles because he's wondering what is going on. Peter's walking all over this room. And now I'm going to turn back around, face the camera. And this is dual pixel focus compared to the Sony, which this is not what this video is about. But I got everything all set up, and I figured while we're all set up, I might as well come over and compare both of the cameras. I took the Sony off of the tripod. I brought it right over here. This is the A7R3. So the camera has taken, the Canon has taken its place on the tripod throne. And now we're talking through the 80D, and you can see the face detection. So you can back this up and see what I did with the Sony, see what happened with the Canon, and decide for yourself how those things are working out for you. I'm going to turn again to the side. I'm going to turn around this way, and I'm going to say, oh, hi, Christmas tree. How are you doing today? And now it doesn't have a face to focus on. So let's see what happens. That's what we did with the Sony. We turned around, we walked, and it seemed to stay with me. All right, let's go back over to 4K because it'll look a lot better, all right? Let me turn this off, and then I'll put the Sony back on the tripod. As a matter of fact, I'll take it with me. Okay, did you see? You saw the Sony, and I got inspired in the middle of all of it, and I took the 80D over there with me too, and so you got to see both of them. And both of those clips were in 1080. How that works is you make a timeline, and whatever you're in, Adobe Premiere, I happen to be on Final Cut Pro, and you make a timeline. And I made a 4K timeline, which is what this video is on that you're watching. And then I recorded in the Atomos recorder, so you could see the screen, so you could see the box around my face. Now, which one do you think did better? Not only we did the Sony, we also did the Canon. So I wasn't even planning that. So we got blessed today. We got two for the price of one. All right. So let me talk about the settings. I wrote them down so that I don't have to memorize them all. Now the Sony's got a menu similar to Canon in the layout where it's headings across the top, and then inside of each one of those is lines or the menu choices, where the Nikon and the Panasonic is up the side. So that's about the big difference. Now, the way it's organized is another story, okay? So let me go through them. You've got let's call it, the first one is menu 1, Then the next one, if you look at it, is menu 2. Then the third one will be menu 3, and so on and so forth, okay? So we're basically dealing with menu 1 and menu 2 here. So, and these are the way I have it set for right now, just so you know. The camera is using a 50mm lens. I got it set to f1.8, even though it's the 1.4, the, what is it, the FE 1.4 Zeiss 50mm. We did a white balance with a better white balance, and I do this, and I'm able to custom white balance 2 ways. Either this goes in front of the lens, or I put this up here and I can use the eyedropper and eyedrop on it and get a perfect white balance. So that's how it's white balanced, and we are in the wide mode. For you guys that are Sony users, you've got a number of different choices. So you've got the wide mode. So we are in the wide mode, and if you set the camera up properly, it will do face detection, which you saw. You saw it. I mean, I've got a witness. It's me and you against the world now, right? You saw the white box around the face and it followed me. And when it drops the white box, boom, it switches over to whatever body's in motion that's close to the white box. And when it can find the face again, it grabs it. Doesn't do a bad job, I have to say. All right, so here's the settings. In menu number 1, page number 5, you've got the focus mode, and I've got it in AFC, which is continuous focus. Again, in menu number 1, on page number 6, you've got a couple of choices here. First of all, this has nothing to do with the autofocus, but I figured I'd throw this one in. Because it's important to me. I don't like it when the light goes on the camera to help focus. It like blinds you and it attracts attention. It's like somebody standing there with a flash, flashlight or something. So in menu number 1, page number 6, the AF illuminator, I have it set to off. Then the next thing is the face priority. I have that set to on. And then the third thing is auto AF tracking sensitivity. It's listed as SENS, okay? So it's AF track sense, all right? But it's autofocus tracking sensitivity. I have it set, you ready for this? To number 1, locked on. Otherwise, if I just talk like this pulses too much. And it does a good job. So if I was doing sports, maybe I would change it. But for talking here or coming over here and seeing what Jingles is doing, see now it's following me, and you saw that the white box is on my face. So I've got the freedom to come over here in the chair and actually talk to you. So I'm going to sit here for a second. All right. So I have on menu number 1, page number 6, autofocus tracking sensitivity is set to 1, which is also called locked on. All right, then there's one more. There's a couple more. In menu number 1, page 7 now, I've got the display contrast autofocus on. So that's basically going to show me I'm assuming the white box around my face. And then the last one on the menu number 1 is item number 10 or page number 10. I've got the spot metering point. Now this is more for pictures, but it also helps for videos. It's set to link to the focus point. So if you're the kind of guy that likes to shoot with the rule of thirds, and this camera's got a joystick, so many times you can move that focus point over for taking pictures, but you don't want it to meter here and the face is here. So I have menu number 1, page 10. I have it set so that spot metering point is set to the focus point link. So we're linking the metering with what the focus point that it's using, which it'll do with the face detection too. Okay, so now you've got the second page, or the second one across the top. We'll call that menu item number 2, but it's got number of pages also. So on menu item number 2, page number 1, you've got the file format. I've got it to the 4K, and I've got it set to 30p, the 60 megabits per second instead of the 100. Now you'd think that I would want the 100 megabits per second, right? Because it's supposed to be better. Well, this is the 60. And you know what? It streamlines everything and it holds the quality because this camera is doing a lot of oversampling and shrinking it down rather than doing pixel binning or line skipping. And you can see the difference in the quality with that. That's a very important feature on a camera. Okay. Now back to the autofocus. The autofocus track sensitivity, I have it set to standard right now. So this is what you're watching. If I turn my head like I did before, I move around, the tracking sensitivity is set to standard. That's on page 2, menu number 2, page 2. And then again on menu number 2, page 2, there's another choice a little bit further down. I've got it, the audio record levels. Well, this doesn't have to do with the focus, but the audio record levels, you can't change them while you're in the PSAM mode, which is that dial on the top, P, S-A-M, and I'm in manual now, by the way. And there's a few other tricks that I wanted to let you know. There's a mode for video on the top dial, okay, and there's your regular settings. Now, I find myself shooting in the M mode more than the video mode. The camera just, I don't know why, it just seems to respond better. The auto face detection, the auto face tracking just seems to work better when I'm in the M mode. Now, you can't change the volume settings and stuff like that. You got to remember to take it, move it over to the video mode, go back into the menus, and that menu is menu number 2, page 2, and that's the audio record levels. You can't change it unless you move to the movie mode, okay? Now, what trips the camera up, this is what makes it stumble, okay, is 2 things, if I get my fingers free, all right, is 2 things. If you want this face recognition to continue to work like I'm doing now, so it's following me around the room, it's doing as well as the Canon dual pixel focus as far as I'm concerned, and in some cases I think it might do better, but that's something for you to decide. But for my own decision, I'm really happy, okay? But if you try to use any of the accessories that puts any kind of a load on the camera, you lose face detection. It can't juggle all that stuff at the same time. So one of the things that where's my phone? I can't use Wi-Fi. If I turn the Wi-Fi on so that I can actually see myself and move around and stuff like that, I lose the auto face detection in 4K. If I'm shooting in 1080p, no problem. I can use the Wi-Fi, I can plug in the HDMI and that kind of stuff. But if I'm in 4K, no using this. There's nothing that can connect to the camera except your microphone, okay? So I haven't found a way to trick it. If anyone knows how to trick it, hit me with it. I want to know, okay? And the other thing you can't do is you can't use the HDMI ports. You can't say, I'm going to plug in a monitor so I can watch and see what's in focus and stuff. As soon as you plug in that monitor, you lose the face detection. So that's an important thing also. Now, this is going to be a little hard to explain only because I'm going to get tongue-tied a little bit, all right? But try to follow me. I'm going to try to explain it as clear as possible. One of the choices you have is the wide mode. So if you actually have one of these cameras, find where the wide mode is for the area of the focus. It's one of the custom function buttons on the top, okay? The other one is I think the white balance. Okay, so what you're going to do is, if you're in wide mode, the camera is pretty much all automatic. And you do have the LCD screen. Now, if you use the LCD screen and you tap, okay, let's say there's a bunch of people and I'm the groom and I'm over here. Or I'm the birthday boy at the party and I'm over here. And there's my Aunt Mary is standing over here, and my dad is standing back there. So all this face detection is going on. So you tap on my face on the LCD screen. I mean, don't walk over here and tap on my face, all right? It's going to lock on the face, but it's also going to lock the focus, meaning if I move forward or back, it's not going to track. It's going to lock the focus when you tap here, okay? Not particularly my nose, all right? But when you tap on me, it's going to lock the focus there. Now, if I continue to move, now I got a problem. So how do you fix that? In other words, it doesn't have tracking where you can tap on something and allow it to track. Well, there's other modes, and these other modes is what helps you with that. And the one that I found is called flex mode. And what happens is you tap on the person and you keep the person on that box, because it's going to put a box there, okay? And as long as you keep that box on my face with the camera, you're driving now, you're driving the camera, and I'm moving, it's going to keep me in focus. See, now it's doing it all automatically because I'm the only person in the room. But if there's multiple people, you want to move over to flex focus, tap on the person you want to follow, and keep them in the box. And the box is not that small. It's actually bigger than the one that you just saw a few minutes ago, all right? So that's how you would track a particular person. There's another way to do it where you can use a zone. So you can keep anything that's in focus in a certain box. Like it's kind of like almost, it almost looks like it divides the screen into thirds, but it's kind of like a block. So you've got the left block, the right block, and you've got a center block. Okay, and it'll keep things in the center of that. Now that's a zone focus. Now the flexi zone or the flexi point is where you tap on a person and it'll continue to track them, but now it's your job to keep them inside that box. Where on the Canon, if I tap on me, it will continue to follow me even if I don't keep up with it so well. So that's one of the differences, okay? But it's very, very doable. It's not like, oh my God, that's a deal breaker. What is the difficult thing about the Sony compared to the Canon? And remember, Canon doesn't have 4K. So until they bring the 4K into their cameras, you got to pick one or the other, all right? So what the Canon will do is you can point anywhere you want, all right? And it'll track anything. The Sony won't. So you're going to have to drive it a little more involved than you will with the Canon, all right? But they will both work really well because they're both phase detection. The dual pixel focus is a phase detection type of a focus. All right, so that's what we got. That's what the settings are for the Sony. I hope they were helpful to somebody in setting them up. If I miss something, you can make a comment, okay? And if it's something that's civil, I'll answer it. If not, you know, I might make it disappear. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This is the video I've been wanting to make for so long on the Sony and on the Sony settings because it took a while to tune this camera in. I have to tell you, it really did. And that's because I'm very, very new to the Sony world. Now, I've been in photography since the mid-70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. You know, a few more years, I'm going to need a cane. But so I can pick up most cameras and work with them. But the Sony it feels to me like it's more computer than it is camera. And the Canon and the Panasonic and the Nikon is more camera than it is computer. Now, in today's age, the younger people that are everything is computer oriented might be an advantage to them. So the Sony will be doing well. So that's about it. Somebody's like over there waiting. All right, Peter Gregg, let's close this out. Please subscribe. What else? I put up a video on the Peter Gregg 4K site. I'll put, if I remember, I'll put a card up here about something very bad that United Airlines did with a little dog like him, a 10-year-old puppy. I'm sorry, a 10-month, not 10, 10-month-old puppy. And I'll give you a heads up, it does not end well, all right? And I did that video over there because I couldn't just stand by and be quiet. So that's about it. That's the end of it for today. Peter Gregg, Miami, Florida. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye. Whoosh.
You have just watched another Peter Gregg video. Something warm, human, and wonderful happens when you watch Peter Gregg. Thank you for watching. Description of all equipment used in this video, plus any notes Peter took while filming, are always placed in the description box, show more box, or down arrow thingy next to the title on mobile apps. Duly noted.